and welcome to Hypnotize Me, the podcast about hypnosis, transformation, and healing. This is Dr. Elizabeth Bonet, and I'm your host. This podcast is not a substitute for mental health treatment, nor should it be. If you need therapy or hypnotherapy, please seek a trained professional. I do hypnosis all over the world, so if you'd like to learn more about me, you can do that at my website, drlizhypnosis.com. That's DRLIZ hypnosis.com. Now on to our episode. Hi everyone, Dr. Liz here. Before we get started, remember an easy way to join the newsletter is by texting the word Hypnotize to 444-999. That's 444-999 in the word Hypnotize. And you'll be able to easily get the freebie downloads, freebie hypnosis files, and be subscribed to the newsletter. I was actually in a professional recording studio this week, remastering the hypnosis downloads, both the ones I offer for free as well as the ones I offer for sale. Like my most popular one is Love to Exercise. Like, wouldn't it be nice to love to exercise? So the hypnosis accomplishes that. It's one of my most popular ones. You can always find those at my website, drlizhypnosis.com. And it was fun in the studio. I got some tips on breathing and voice pace and volume. In person, I have a very quiet voice to the point that sometimes people don't hear me when I say something, not really in my office, but outside of the office. And my husband complains about it sometimes. My kids are used to it more so than anyone else, of course, but it shows on a mic as well. And I know when I record at home, I've had problems with that, thinking it's my mic. Well, it turns out it's not, because he had an amazing, like $3,000 microphone sitting there with all kinds of recording equipment. And he's like, you've got to raise your volume. It's like, okay, let me try this again. So it was really fun to be there and do all the hypnosis files and all of that. So those remasters will be coming soon. If you've bought some in the past, I will send out an email that goes out that says, hey, this file's been remastered if you'd like to download a new version. So you'll see that in your inbox soon. On last week's podcast, I interviewed Kimberly Friedmutter, who is a celebrity hypnotherapist and works with people all over the world. She's a member at large of the UCLA Health System Board, the American Board of Hypnotherapy, the Association for Integrative Psychology, the International Hypnosis Federation. And in general, she's just fun to talk to. She's originally from Texas as well, like I am. And it was a really fun conversation. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to it. It's episode 124. So I did talk about her book a little bit on that episode in the intro. But I also wanted to give one of her free hypnotic hacks on today's episode. And she gave permission for this. So I really love this book. It's called Subconscious Power. It's wonderful if you're male or female. She said her statistics are coming back about 50-50, which is fantastic. Often a book will skew one way or another, like 90% female or 90% male or something, but she's getting a lot of male readers on this one. She talks about her 6 principles in the book. So she goes more into this on the interview last week. But this book is just written in such a friendly style, and it's well written with lots of stories and examples, and I really just loved it. And it has a lot of the hypnosis things that you would do with a professional hypnotist or hypnotherapist. That was her purpose of the book. It's like, okay, let me give some of this stuff away that I do professionally. And I can tell you from being a professional hypnotherapist myself, her hypnotic hacks, quote unquote, is what she calls them, are really good in this book. And they are things that you can do on your own. I really love her pivot one, where she does an exercise for you to discover whether you're moving toward something or away from something else. Often when we make change, we assume that we're moving towards something, but often we're trying to run away from something. We're trying to move away from something. Literally, sometimes people move away from something. They move across the country or across the world or across the state. And often this is a recommendation for people like, yeah, you need to move away and get a fresh start and not be around perhaps people who are a bad influence or that are painful for you, that type of thing. But it's a very different feeling when you're moving toward something versus moving away. So that's one I really love. But the one I thought I would do today is finding something you've lost. So we talked in the interview about me losing a necklace. And this was a childhood necklace. I don't even remember how old I was when I got it, probably between 6 and 8. And I wore it throughout my childhood, but then I stopped wearing it sometime in adulthood. And then I started again, 5 or 6 years ago. It has a great sentimental value for me, and I had lost it. Now, I didn't have her book or I would have done this process. But instead, after about a week, I put at the top of my list of my to-do things for the week, necklace will appear. And it did. It did by the end of the week. So I was thrilled with that. I just really set the intention, this necklace is going to appear. And it did. And it was not anywhere that I had expected or looked or that I would think that it would be. Anyway, hypnosis is not just for the esoteric and this kind of things. It's often for the practical. As Abraham Hicks said to me one time, not that we talk all the time, only in my mind, right? But she said in real life, or he said in real life, it's all practical, right? And that is how I think about hypnosis. It's all practical. It's practical for your life to help you solve daily challenges, to help you move through life better in a practical way. So after the hypnotic hack, I won't be doing any more talking. Just a little thinking music will come on to allow you to just stay in that place for a little bit. So give this a little time to work. You may find the item immediately. You may have to do this a couple of times before you find it. Or you may do it in combination with some other technique, like writing it at the top of your list. This will appear. These days, I don't freak out as much when I lose something. I just think, well, it'll appear eventually. I know it's in the house somewhere, so it'll appear. I found something a year and a half later, actually. The blue-haired teen had put away some art pieces that she had in preparation for Hurricane Irma, which was in 2017. And afterwards, we could not find them. I did not remember where I put them at all. Like, we looked everywhere. Didn't remember. I said, I'm sorry, they'll appear. I know they'll appear, but we've just got to give it time. I would look for them from time to time, but I still wouldn't find them. A year and a half later, I open a certain container I have for quilting materials. And there they are. They're sitting there. And I was like, oh my gosh, here they are. I was so excited. I ran down to her room and I was like, I found them. I had put them into a bin of fabric that I had for quilting that seals so that if the house got flooded, hopefully they'd be preserved. They were put up high too. So there they were. I had actually looked in some fabric bins, but for some reason I hadn't looked in that one and they were sitting there. So anyway, these days I try to stay as calm as I can and go into a positive space, knowing the item will eventually appear. Now, this didn't work for a quilt that I had actually made and lost. It was a handmade quilt that I had made for the park days when my kids were little, and it had drawings of all the kids in our play group on them. And they were little bitty, so they were amazing little kid drawings, and I had quilted them into the quilt. And also the binding had a part of a poem that one of the moms had written about how some days motherhood gets so weary, you just want to lay down and sleep the day away. And then other days it's better. But I had taken this quilt to the park one day, and somehow in packing everything up, I had not packed up the quilt. And as soon as I realized it was like a day later, I went back to the park and asked the office if anyone turned it in, and they said no. And that one, I have to say, I was a little heartbroken over. I definitely spent some time in a therapy session talking about it and really had to come to the conclusion that maybe somebody really needed that quilt. Maybe it's covering somebody's baby or children who really, really needed it. But if you ever are in the South Florida area and you see a quilt that has batiks on one side and brown on the other and looks like it has kids' drawings on it, I want you to ask the person, did you find that quilt? And if they say, yes, I found this quilt in the park, I want you to email me or call me, okay, and say, hey, I know who has your quilt. Please get their contact information. I would love to have that one back. It's actually my favorite quilt that I had made, and boom, it's gone. All right, let's jump into this hypnosis. And again, the book is called Subconscious Power. Use your inner mind to create the life you've always wanted, by Kimberly Friedmutter. So make sure you're not driving while you listen to this part, because you do need to close your eyes and go within to do this. You need a moment of stillness and quiet. Close your eyes and go within. Just begin to settle the body and relax your breath. If you can, be in a positive state of mind. Recall the last time you saw the missing item. Imagine where it was that you saw it. See what's around it and how it looks. Noticing all the details of the item. Now, staying relaxed, imagine reaching out to touch the item. And as you do this, bring to mind a pleasurable feeling associated with the item. Let this feeling go all the way through the body, filling your body, filling your heart, filling your mind. Now visually replay the event where you were last in contact, staying relaxed. Imagine your surroundings and be with your thoughts. Recall and connect to the flow of information that originally recorded the event. Your relaxed subconscious will lead you to the item.